Here we go again. Today, we're back with my Week 8 NFL picks. We're starting right off. Minnesota versus Chargers. Now, this is a weird one because the Chargers, they started out 3-0. Now they're 4-3. Minnesota, this another game of Carson Wentz. They're, I believe, 3-4. So, we got a 3-point spread right now. The Chargers are favored at home. I mean, this is a tough one to predict because the injuries are really bad. Right now, Joe Alt's out. Becton's been hurt. Obviously, Slater's out. Hampton's out. Like, you know, when Kamani Vidal's your best running back who started the season on practice squad, it's really not a great sign for your team. But Minnesota's offense is just not doing it right now for me. Wentz is just very, very mediocre. Mason's been good, but he faces a tough matchup. This is probably, Aaron Jones's first game back, or, maybe next week. But the thing here is, the Vikings' pass defense has been elite all season, besides last week. They got Ladd, they got QJ, they got Keenan Allen, and they got this fucking kid from Syracuse, the tight end, Aronde Gadsden. I think this is a good game for the Chargers to get back on track. I'm going to say Chargers -3. As a Broncos fan, I don't like saying it, but I think this is their night. So, let's move on here. A lot of yapping there. We got the Browns and the Pats. Now, the Pats are 5-2. The Browns coming off a win. First win for Gabriel. They're 2-5. Judkins looks good. This is a decent game for him as well. The Pats' pass defense has, been so-so. Last week they were getting carved up a little by Ward in the first half. But this is a better team than the Titans all together. The Browns' best part of them is their defense. They have an elite run defense. They have an elite pass defense. I mean, they killed all their picks. Mason Graham's been great. Carson Schweichinger or whatever from UCLA has been really good too in the second round. I'm gonna say Browns +7. I think the Pats are gonna win. They're definitely the better team, but I think this is the real test for Drake May so far this season, where he gets an elite defense that he's playing against. So, could I be wrong there? Yeah, of course, but Gabriel is very inexperienced as well, but if they can run the ball, I think they'll have success in this game. The next one. Okay. We've got the Bills and Panthers. Now, if Bryce Young was playing, I would immediately say Panthers +7. Unfortunately, it is Andy Dalton. Yeah. So the Bills are off 2 losses. They just had their bye week. +7 spread. The Panthers have won, I believe, 3 in a row. They just beat the Jets. Chippy game. But I don't think Andy Dalton is going to be doing enough in this one. I think this is a good game for the Bills to get back on track. They have such a better team, realistically. Allen, Cook, just to give you an idea. But I think this is a good game for the Bills to get back on track. I think they probably win by at least a touchdown, maybe 2. I don't have much faith in 38-year-old Andy Dalton at this point in time. And then we got the 0-7 Jets. I really badly want to say the Jets here. Their defense is a lot better, especially these last 2 weeks. They played good against the Panthers. They played very good against Denver and London. I think this is going to be the game where we see Tyrod Taylor play at quarterback while Fields gets benched. Fields might come in, play his little share, but the big thing here for me is Garrett Wilson. If Garrett Wilson plays, it's the Jets game. I think the Jets cover if Garrett Wilson plays. But if he's out, that gives the Bengals the advantage. So right now, I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to play. I'm going to say Cincy -6.5. Since he's off a nice win, Flacco's played well in both games. They're at home. The Jets are, again, 0-7 still. So But the Jets, they played close against the Panthers. They played close against Denver. They played close against Tampa Bay. And Denver and Tampa Bay, they're both 5-2, and the Panthers are 4-3. So that could be a game where the Jets get their first win if Garrett Wilson plays genuinely. And then Brees might get traded after that. So on to the next one, the Giants Eagles. I don't think I could possibly argue against the Giants spread. I know the Eagles, are coming off a great win against Minnesota where they pass the ball really well, but I really like the look of this Giants team right now. Dart's been playing awesome. Scadabo's been good. Tracy played well last week. Wandale, Theo Johnson had that weird ass touchdown, but their defense has been way, way better, especially with Cordell Flott. Banks and him were both mediocre last year. Flott's taken a big step. Abdul Carter was one of the best edge rushers last week. He didn't even get a sack, but he had so many pressures. But, the Eagles have struggled. The run game's really not there for Saquon right now. And I think the Giants can make this one interesting. They did. Obviously, they beat the Eagles last game. They played Denver close. The only game that was, they were out of was the Saints one. And they were up big early. And they still, choked. But I think 7.5 is a little too much for me. So I'm going to say the Giants. And then you get the Dolphins and Falcons. Now, Penix is questionable, but he says he'll play. But Miami's defense is arguably the worst in football. This is just over a touchdown right now. I would pick the Falcons. They got Bijan, they got London, they got Pitts. I think Pitts probably gets in. This is National Tight End Day, so I think this is a good game for the Falcons because obviously, they had their chance against San Fran. They could have won that game. It's like San Fran the week before where they played Tampa Bay, where they played probably better, but they just couldn't capitalize on, anything. So, I think back home, they played really well at home last week. Miami's got Waller out. Miami's got all these, problems going on. Tua's bad. The defense is bad. The play calling's bad. It's not ideal, right? And then we got the Bears and Ravens. Now this is a little harder because Chicago's 4-2. Their defense has been much better, but they're struggling a little bit. They won 4 in a row. I get it. The Ravens defense is horrific. But the big thing in this one, Lamar Jackson is back. So, my pick here, I really want to say the Ravens, but I don't think they cover this. I just don't I can't trust the defense. The defense run and, pass wise, they can't stop either. I think, Baltimore wins, but I think the Bears make it close enough and could potentially win there. Now we got Houston, San Fran. Nico Collins probably out. Christian Kirk's probably out. Surely it's the 49ers. But no. I think, the Texans, they got the best defense in football, in my opinion, right now. They're playing like it. I think this is a good game for the Texans to win at home. I think most of the money, probably 70-75%, is going to be on San Fran because, they're 5-2. But last week they didn't play the greatest. So, and it's like, if Purdy's back, he's still going to be a little iffy. Of course you got CMC, Kittle, but no Pearsall again. Obviously Ayuk's still not back, but, they just lost another edge rusher with Huff. Bosa's out, Warner's out. I just don't, I feel better about Houston in that one. Then we got the Bucks and the Saints. Now, like I've said all season, the Saints have played games close. They're very bad roster-wise, but Kendry Miller's out. Devin Neal's, RB2. He'll get a decent workload in this one. But the big thing for the Bucks, I don't think Godwin will play. Buka's back, which is huge because I thought that might be a multi-week injury. But this is only 4-5, and this is a divisional game, and they're away. I think this is another one the Bucks might lose. I do. I like the Saints in this one. I don't think. I mean, Baker had a bad week. Bucky's still not going to play. Tez's been a nice addition, but Olave's looked good. Honestly, really good the last 2-3 weeks. So as soon as those trade talks came in, he's been looking amazing. So I'm gonna go with the Saints. Is it iffy? It is, but I think this is one of those games, those divisional games that are just weird. Because it's like, everyone expects, the Bengals to lose to the Steelers. Because the Steelers are, whatever, 4-1, right? No. And they still went down. Then we've got the highest spread, I think, of the season at 14. Obviously, the Titans have their fair share of every problem possible. I'm going to say the Colts. I think this is an easy one. I mean, I think Taylor could genuinely run for 150 plus. But he won't play the whole game because they'll be up by so much. I mean, the Titans looked better this past week, definitely. Ward definitely looked a bit better, but, in the second half, they just completely collapsed. Again, I don't think you can justify saying the Titans here. I mean, I know 2 touchdowns a lot, but, I mean, the Colts are blowing out everyone. This is too efficient of an offense for me to doubt in this one. Yeah, that's just self-explanatory for me. Then we've got my team, who is 5-2, and they're playing Dallas, who is probably the most efficient offense. Well, it's not efficient offense, but best offense in football right now. CeeDee Lamb's back. Obviously, Pickens is in there. Ferguson's been good. Javante's been good. This is a good revenge game for him. But they also have the 32nd best defense. Could the Cowboys win this one? Probably. I don't know the last time I've seen Dallas beat Denver. Saying that, I can't wait to come back and be like, oh, Dallas wins, of course. But, this is too good of a defense, Denver-wise. And I think they'll be fine offensively if they can get it going early. If they're doing the same thing against Dallas that they did against the Giants, they'll lose the game, obviously. But if they get the offense going early, this is a game Denver can win by a touchdown, I think. They're definitely, they're clearly the better team. Dallas has struggled away. Their only win was against the Jets. They lost to the Panthers. And someone else. Oh, Philly. I think those are the other two. And, shit. Oh, and Chicago, that's the other one. Yeah. And Denver is definitely better than 2 of them. The Eagles are arguable as they did beat them, so. Then, Sunday Night Football, we got Green Bay against Pittsburgh. My favorite 2 teams, honestly. 2 of the most overrated teams in football. This is a revenge game for Rodgers, of course, against Green Bay for the first time, I believe. I'm going to say Steelers plus 3. I think 3 is a little too much. I don't think Green Bay is very good. I keep saying it. Green Bay's defense is good, but the offense itself is overrated. As a team, they are overrated. They didn't play good against Arizona. They got lucky to win that one. I don't think this is a game they win. I think Steelers probably win outright. So that's just there for me. And then we got Washington and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are coming off a game where they won 28-0. Washington's coming off a game where they lost by 22. I mean, every sign points to just saying the Chiefs. But, Mariota's, and I get Mariota's out. McLaurin and Debo didn't play last week, so, they might not this week. Washington's defense is terrible. I still think 12.5 is a little high. I would say Washington covers. I think this game probably ends by a little over a touchdown, maybe just by 1 touchdown. I think the Chiefs win. but I don't think they cover that. I just don't think it's a blowout game. It's just like one of those games where it's like, Washington's still a good football team at the end of the day. So they aren't the football team anymore, but you know, I think this is a game where they could definitely. I guarantee most of the money is going to be on the Chiefs spread, but I think Chiefs win, but I think Washington makes it a good game. But that's all. That's all for me. So let me know what you guys think of my picks and what you agree or disagree with. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.